Hello everybody, my name is Nicola and welcome back to my channel. I blog over at thefrugalcottage.com all about budgeting, money saving, investing and lots of things in between. Now today's video is all about how to set up a zero-based budget. I'm going to recreate like a fake budget if you like with a family and show you just how to set up your own zero-based budget, which means that you are giving every single penny of income that you get a job. It is a bit of a strange budget in the sense that most people don't know where every single penny goes, but the point of it is that you know where that goes and you're making your money work for you regardless of where you want to set it up. Dave Ramsey is a big advocate of the zero-based budget. If you've not heard of him, then Google him. He's a really famous American personal finance person. I also have a free PDF that I'll leave a link to in the description box below so that you can set up your own zero-based budget to see how it goes. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get started. So a zero-based budget is where you budget every single penny, hence the word zero-based. So you work out your income and then you work out everything else, and at the end of that it should equal zero. So I've made up this imaginary family. There's 2 adults in the household, 1 child and 1 dog. And I've written there, if you can see that, I've written their income in the first bit. So there's 2 different paychecks, they're both office workers. It's just a scenario just to help explain this. So first paycheck, £1,327, the other paycheck, £1,612, and they get child benefit for 1 child, which is £67.50. So their income as a household is £3,006.50. So that's their base, that's what they earn, and that's what they're going to need to balance out. So I thought I would do this with you just to go through how this works and how you would set this up. This isn't based on any budget, this isn't based on our budget, it's just based on our budget, if that makes sense. But random amounts, it's not based on anything particularly. So they rent their house, so their rent is £650 a month. So these are the fixed expenses. So these are the ones that you work out first. These are the ones that you most of the time have no option about or aren't as flexible, so to speak. So council tax for them is £123. Their gas and electric is £77. That's a combined amount. Water, £53. TV and broadband are £49. Mobile, so there's 2 adults in the household, so I've said that they've got 2 phones, which I assume is the case for everybody. And that costs them £70 a month. Netflix, okay, fixed expense, yes. Essential, no, but it's in there, because let's be honest, we all have it. It's £7.99. Insurance, so say they've got things like life insurance, critical illness cover, all that kind of insurance is lumped into one here for £120. Remember, there's 2 adults. And they've got a dog, a large dog apparently, because pet insurance is £8 a month. So for their fixed expenses for this household, rent, council tax, gas and electric, water, TV and broadband, mobile phones times 2, Netflix, insurance and pet insurance comes to £1,157.99. So this is the total on this sheet for number 1. I will leave a link to this sheet below. You can print it off as many times as you want, and there's a space at the top here to put what month this is for. I just haven't bothered because this is an example. The next one, I think we'll go over here next, is the variable expenses. So food for this family is £250. So that's for 2 adults and 1 child. Travel, £150. Miscellaneous, £150. They have lots of hobbies. Clothes, £100. Child, so they've got 1 child, £100. Eating out, £50. And dog, £30. Like I said, it must be a large dog. So these are the variable expenses. These are the things that, if necessary, they could be more flexible, things that might change. You might increase the free budget, take it away. This is just a general idea. And for the second total, that equals £830. So for their fixed and variable expenses, which is kind of the two main categories in anybody's budget, or should be anyway, that's what they are, so 1 and 2. The next one in the zero-based budget is sinking funds. So we've done the fixed expenses, the things that you need to ensure that you can pay for, and the variable expenses. The next thing for this family are their sinking funds. So for holidays, they put in £100 a month. School related fees, they've got 1 child, not fees, like expenses, is £20. Car is £40. Pet is £20. Now, they've got pet insurance, but it's good to have a sinking fund for pets. I say that from experience because last month we paid nearly £500 for our cat to get some teeth out. So it's always good to have some kind of sinking fund for your pets, as we found out. Christmas, £40. And birthdays, £30. So that's every month they put these into these sinking funds. Obviously, you could have more. You might have less if you don't have a car, or you don't have a pet, or you don't have a child that's in school. You know, sinking funds, but for this family, 2 adults and 1 child, they have these sinking funds, and they add up to £250 a month. Next one is debt repayment. So for this family, they lease a car. Quite a typical expense for lots of families, and depending on the kind of car you have, obviously the cost of that is more. But for this family, their car payment each month is £279, and that goes there. That's the only debt payment they have, because they're nice and organised with their sinking funds. And then the final one in a zero-based budget, if you have room for this, investments and savings. So I've put investments and savings in the same box. Now obviously, depending on your circumstances, this might be zero for the time being. It does depend on if you have more debt payments, depends what your income is to begin with, but for this family they've still got some left over, so they have different savings. So they put in £100 every month into an emergency fund. They put £300 into investments. And then, because I worked all this out earlier, here's one I did earlier, they put in £89.51 into another savings account. So that could be for, I don't know, holiday savings or a mortgage overpayment. Maybe they need to save to do a lump overpayment, because I've not mentioned that in here actually. You know, this is a little bit extra that they could also in theory leave in their current account if they wanted to, but I put this as it goes somewhere else. And then that bit adds up to £489.51. So then what you do, once you've worked out all of these different aspects of this, so you've worked out the income to begin with, I'll zoom out a bit so you can see that better. You've worked out the income to begin with. So we worked out that this family, 2 adults, 1 child, came out with each month £3,006.50. Note that they don't have any additional income sources. They rely on their paycheck and the child benefit. If I was going through this, I would suggest that in theory they could look at maybe getting another income source. However, we'll leave it as is for now. Fixed expenses, so kind of rent, or you know, all the usual bills, variable expenses, sinking funds, debt repayments and investments and or savings. You need to add all those up together. So this is where we see whether my maths is right. So at the bottom here it says total, so you now add up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the different things down here we add up. So let's add those up. So 1157.99 plus 2 was 830, sinking funds 250, debt repayment 279, and the investments and savings were on £489.51. Ah, a few. And the total for those is £3,006.50. And look at that, their income £3,006.50, and the difference is 0. So if I zoom on this bit, because the whole point of this zero-based budget is this is what you end up with. You can see here, so I've added up there all of the different expenses. So fixed expenses, variable expenses, sinking funds, debt repayments, is only one for this, and investments and savings. And all that together equals the £3,006.50. The income for this household is £3,006.50. So the difference is zero, and that's the important thing. If you're going to do a zero-based budget, this number here is zero. That's the entire point behind that. If it's not zero, so say you've added up all these expenses and it is less than your income, then great. You're in a great position. You can either add more to your sinking funds, add more to your investments or savings, add in a mortgage overpayment, because I've not done that for this. You know, if your total expenses is less than your income, then you're in a great position to make different changes within your finances. If you add this up, and this expenses category, which is what that is more than your income category, total even, so therefore your difference is a minus, then you need to do some thinking about what you're doing. And that just means, depending on how much it's over, obviously, this just means if it's over, this just means you probably can't do much about the fixed expenses, although obviously some would argue that Netflix is not an important bill. I would argue that in the current circumstances where we're all at home quite a lot, you know, but the variable expenses you can tweak. The sinking funds you definitely can in the short term. I wouldn't suggest getting rid of those completely, but if you need to, and focus more on presumably debt payments, and also maybe reduce these. It's a bit of a balancing act, but the whole point of a zero-based budget is that you get this number to zero. It does take a bit of tweaking, does take a bit of trial and error, especially if you're not used to doing this kind of budget. Now this zero-based budget is very similar, not these numbers, but the idea behind it is very similar to how I organise our own budget. Obviously we have an overpayment section, which for us, would that go in debt repayments? Maybe it would. Probably put it in debt repayment, because that, you know, after all, mortgage is a debt, and it would be an overpayment on that. But the ending up with zero, the whole point behind that is that you are using every penny of your hard-earned income to maximum effort. Maximum, like, you want it to do the best for you. So all of this is making sure that, you know, you're working really hard for your money. Let's make sure that it works hard for you. It's going to the best places. It's making sure you're paying your debt off. It's making sure that you've got savings in place. It's making sure that you've got these sinking funds set up, so when it comes to Christmas you're not scrabbling around or using a credit card. It's a good system to use if you like numbers. Obviously, if this is not obvious, I like numbers. I like working out things. I like the way that sometimes it doesn't work and sometimes it does. I like the fact that I know where our money is going. There are other budget methods. There's the 50-30-20 method. You know, there's the cash envelope method, which is obviously a budgeting method. You know, you need to work out what it works for you. But this method, in terms of knowing, now the only way this doesn't work as well is if your income, because I put these, this family get 2 steady paychecks. One adult gets one, the other adult gets the other, and they get a child benefit. Like clockwork every single month. So their income is it doesn't vary. It's very static. There's no room for error. So they can work this out, you know, and change it where necessary. If your income is variable, so maybe you're self-employed, or maybe it's commission based, or you have lots of different income sources, that can vary. The zero budget method is slightly more tricky. What you would do in that sense is you would work out these two, perhaps the sinking funds, but definitely your fixed and variable expenses first. That then gives you a total of those two of what your minimum household or individual, depending on your circumstances, would need to be to cover your essentials. So keeping the roof over your head, keeping warm, you know, the heating, the water, being able to eat. You know, you need to decide, it's kind of, you do it backwards in a way. So if your income is variable, which is fine, lots of people are, you would then do your fixed expenses and your variable expenses first, see what that minimum line is, and that's your goal for income every month. And then if you get over that, then great, you can add in more of these. So that's the zero budget method. This sheet of paper, this budget plan, whatever you want to call it, is available to download. I'll leave a link below on my site. You can print it as many times as you want. I'm not going to lie, I planned this out before this and I didn't write it on the sheet in case I went wrong, because, you know, no one wants to go wrong. And I also needed to work out that what I said was going to happen did happen. But yeah, if you're one that has really steady income, this can be a good way of making sure that it goes where it should do, so to speak. So, zero-based budget method. Hope you're all staying safe at home. I hope you're all doing well and not finding it too stressful. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you again very soon.